It's Monday, September 13. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Carnival Sunrise cruise ship is scheduled to arrive in Ocho Rios on Monday, September 13, 2021, with approximately 1,700 cruise passengers on board. This will be the third cruise ship arrival following the reopening of cruise tourism in August 2021. The schedule for the cruise season had been agreed on with the Carnival Cruise Line prior to the imposition of the no-movement days under the Disaster Risk Management Act. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett explained that the protocols and strict monitoring will remain in place for this and subsequent cruise ship calls. Arriving cruise visitors are permitted to visit only establishments within the resilient corridors and are certified by the Tourism Product Development Company and permitted to travel only on transportation licensed to the Tourist Board Act. The minister said, quote, Carnival Sunrise has to meet strict measures governing the restart of cruise shipping, requiring approximately 95% of passengers and crew to be fully vaccinated, and for all passengers to provide evidence of negative results from a COVID-19 test taken within 72 hours of sailing. In the case of unvaccinated passengers, such as children, a PCR test is mandated, and all passengers are also screened and tested on embarkation. End quote. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is seeking to expand its vaccination access points with an invitation to the private sector through a request for quotation, RFQ, for their participation in the National Vaccination Program. The RFQ is aimed at small, medium, and large enterprises that may be faith-based, community-based, or existing health facilities, such as pharmacies, hospitals, health centers, or doctors' offices. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton explained at last Thursday's COVID Conversation press conference.
The initiative will, as a clear objective, seek to expand the access points for different clients who will be able to receive their vaccination while shopping or while visiting their doctor's office. In other words, the RFQ, which is out, or you can get, I believe, on our website, will ask you for a proposal. If you're a pharmacy, a doctor's office, a hospital, and we have had training of our private hospitals over the last week or so, or an entity that can put together a team that satisfies some of the basic requirements of vaccination, so the protocols that are necessary. That proposal will be considered, and the government will offer, based on the proposal and what is being requested, will offer a payment incentive to that entity for persons that they inoculate, that they vaccinate.
Up to 11 a.m. September 12, Jamaica had administered some 632,384 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. Of that number, 468,304 were first doses. 150,273 were second doses, and 13,807 were single doses. The ministry continues to encourage Jamaicans to get vaccinated against COVID-19 to help prevent serious illness, hospitalization, and/or death. For details on vaccination sites, members of the public can visit the ministry's website. The country's health system has adequate oxygen supply. That's the word from Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bissessa McKenzie in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Speaking at the latest COVID Conversation virtual press brief, the CMO explains about 120,000 liters should be available.
The issue that we had in August the 27th, 28th was really an issue where the supply that we had expected to come in didn't come in. But since then, I just want to reassure the public that we have had adequate amount of oxygen that have come into country, just coming out of that weekend of the 27th to the 28th. where we had about 84,000 liters of oxygen that was brought in to supplement the 50 to 60,000 liters that IGL could produce in country. The following week after that, which was this week, we would have gotten the same amount in country, and next week we are getting an additional, it is anticipated, an additional 120,000 liters. So this is adequate amounts to supply the numbers that we are seeing, and if there is an increase, then also we would be able to manage an additional number of cases.
Dr. Bessessa McKenzie cautioned medical practitioners who treat at-home patients.
We note with concern the article in a leading newspaper, read the management of patients at home with oxygen saturations as low as 60%. Now, this is a reminder to the general public that if you are being treated at home and your symptoms are worsening, then it is best to seek care from a medical practitioner. A word of caution to our doctors that the physiology of oxygen use in the body has not changed with the advent of COVID-19. Let us keep things simple. Tissues require oxygen to function, and there is a minimal level of blood oxygen that is required for adequate tissue function. Oxygen saturation levels below 90% for long periods is dangerous.
Dr. Bessessa McKenzie says the ministry will continue to review its strategies to improve its COVID-19 response. The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, says coronavirus vaccines are safe for pregnant women after their first trimester and mothers who are breastfeeding. PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne addressed the matter at a recent virtual press brief.
There have been concerns about the effect that the coronavirus vaccines can have on pregnant women. Many pharmaceutical companies refrain from confirming its use by pregnant women, citing insufficient data. But that view has changed. On Wednesday, PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne said that the COVID-19 vaccines are critical tools for safeguarding expectant and lactating mothers during the pandemic.
Countries should also give pregnant women and lactating mothers priority for COVID vaccinations. While some countries are already vaccinating pregnant women, less than half of countries in Latin America and the Caribbean have rolled out guidelines to vaccinate this population. So let me be clear. PAHO recommends that all pregnant women after their first trimester, as well as those who are breastfeeding, receive the COVID-19 vaccine. As a mother breastfeeds, she passes immunity to her baby. So COVID-19 vaccines can also help protect newborns from the virus.
She notes some of the health issues that can occur if a pregnant woman contracts COVID-19.
Pregnancy is a particularly vulnerable time. Women's immune systems change during pregnancy, leaving them at higher risk of respiratory infections like COVID-19. We know that if pregnant women become infected, they have a higher risk of developing serious COVID symptoms and more frequently require ventilation and intensive care as compared to women who are not pregnant. They also have a higher chance of delivering their baby early or prematurely.
She also explains that they have a greater chance of experiencing premature delivery. In addition to the vaccines, the PAHO director said it's also imperative that countries maintain access to healthcare services that are critical to keeping pregnant women on track for safe births, including routine screenings.
At least 40% of the countries in our region have reported disruptions to maternal and newborn care. And these disruptions have become more widespread during this second year of the pandemic. Some countries like Belize and Guatemala report that pregnancy-related care has been disrupted in over half of health sites. This means that far too many women had trouble getting a doctor's appointment at a time when care couldn't be more critical. So far, more than 270,000 pregnant women have become sick with COVID in the Americas, and more than 2,600 of them, or 1% of those infected, have died from the virus. Most countries in our region have already reported more cases and deaths among pregnant women this year than in all of 2020.
Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
Jamaica's Blue and Jonquil Mountains helps to sustain global biodiversity. The Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust says the island's forests are among the Caribbean's 290 key biodiversity areas and the Caribbean's 48 wholly irreplaceable sites. The Forestry Department is the lead agency responsible for the island's forest resources, managing approximately 117,000 hectares of forests in Jamaica. Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Pernell Charles Jr. says the department understands its role impacts the sustainability of the country's economy, and it has been putting in the work. Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Pernell Charles Jr. says forests contribute to Jamaica's identity and its economy.
We are the country that is defined as a land of wood and water. So it is a source of income as well for many rural communities in Jamaica, and a significant contributor to revenue earned at the local and national level from our tourism product.
According to the United Nations, 31.1%, or about 337,000 hectares of Jamaica, is forested. The forests are important to the island's biodiversity, providing habitats for individual species, communities of creatures, entire ecosystems where life interplays with the physical environment. With the Forestry Department continuously working on maintaining, monitoring, and replanting, they play a significant role in maintaining Jamaica's biodiversity. Minister Charles says mangroves are a key focus,
which we know are so important, and our swamp forests, which are globally recognized for their importance in the fight against climate change. In 2019, the Forestry Department commenced a process of mapping and assessing the spatial distribution, composition, and health of our mangrove areas. What we found is that over 13,000 hectares of mangroves that we assessed provided information which is now being used to prepare a national mangrove management plan to ensure effective management of the ecosystem.
Minister Charles says mangrove forests have been estimated to provide approximately $32.7 million in protection to our coastal areas.
It is therefore obvious that these and other benefits provided by mangroves make protecting them not simply a desire, but an existential imperative. The restoration and securing of all remaining forests in Jamaica is also a major focus of this government. And this is why in 2019, our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, launched a national tree planting initiative. And it is in support of our nationally determined contributions toward the mitigation of climate change and in a bid to bolster our reforestation efforts so that we can increase forest cover and establish high-value urban green spaces for all Jamaicans.
The Environment Minister says under the initiative, as at September 2021, the department has planted and distributed more than 700,000 seedlings. He furthers that through individual actions and private partnership, They are on track to achieving the target of 3 million trees being planted in 3 years. We now get the latest financial market updates from Gabriel Thompson in this quick business report.
In Friday's trading session, the JSE combined index advanced by 196 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 84 stocks, of which 38 advanced, 34 declined, and 12 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 5 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Pulse Investments Limited was the volume leader with over 4.9 million units, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 3 million units and Lumber Depot Limited with over 2.4 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Friday, September 10, the US dollar sold for an average $150.25. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $119.53. The pound sterling traded for $208, and the euro sold for an average $179.58. In market data for oil, prices rose for a second session on Monday as concerns over U.S. output following damage from Hurricane Ida supported the market along with expectations for higher demand. About 3/4 of the offshore oil production in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico, or about 1.4 million barrels per day, has remained halted since late August, roughly equal to what OPEC member Nigeria produces. Brent crude futures rose 33 cents to $73.25 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude added 32 cents to $70.04 a barrel. Both markets were at their highest since September 3, earlier in the session. On that note, we close this Monday edition of the Business Report inside the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabriel Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
Over now to news from the region. In the Bahamas, tax breaks and concessions for the first-time owners. They're among the campaign pledges made by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and the Free National Movement just days before the 2021 general election. The Bahamas can expect political campaigns to ramp up in high gear as voters prepare to cast their votes on Thursday. Our News Bahamas takes a look at pledges being made on the campaign trail.
Bahamian first-time homeowners constructing an owner-occupied dwelling less than $300,000, no taxes, no duty, all material free, furnishing free, fridge free, stove free, microwave free. Oh my God.
The concessions will also apply to those looking to build on private land as well as those who have applied for government land such as the Prospect Bridge development.
This applies whether you intend to build on your private land or on government land you received or purchased. We will extend the concessions now available to government land, communities, and developments to private land for home owner-occupied dwellings valued less than $300,000. There will be, as I've said, no duties on building materials.
These concessions and tax breaks will lead to a construction boom, providing jobs for hundreds, according to Minnis.
For all home construction, there will also be no VAT on building materials. No VAT on the value of the construction contract. FNS, This will benefit many potential homeowners. This will help to create a construction boom.
The Coalition of Independents also holding a drive and rally last evening at the Tom the Bird Park following the party's motorcade. Party leader Lincoln Bain petitioned for discouraged voters to give a new party a chance.
You are here because you are tired. Yeah. I am here because I am tired. Oh yeah. Like many of you, I was ready to walk away and leave this country behind. Because the country just doesn't work for us. It works for everyone else, but not us. And there is no hope with the PLP and F&M. It's going to be more of the same. But we decided, all of us on the stage, decided to give it one more try.
Despite rainy conditions, party supporters lined the stage. Bain says on election day, voters must send a clear message to other political parties that it's time for change.
This is ours. That's right, that's ours. And no one is going to give you your freedom. You have to take it. You got to take it. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And these old liars are messing up the pride. They're messing up this country. That's right. And all lions don't go away until the young lions shoot them up.
In Trinidad and Tobago, members of the Fraternity showed up to get vaccinated on Sunday. The Member of Parliament for St. Joseph, Health Minister Terence Dalsing, and the President of TrinBago, Beverly Ramsey Moore, were on hand to welcome them. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell reports.
Music wafted through the air at the East Grove Panyard on Sunday. No, Mourns Steel Orchestra was not practicing for any upcoming competition. Instead, the white tents and medical personnel milling around with forms signaled that the Ministry of Health was vaccinating persons in the area.
It's a joint effort between the Member of Parliament for St. Joseph, myself, and TrinBago and the community of East Grove and Curragh. It is a joint effort to bring vaccinations and to sensitize the fraternity, the man, the woman, about the need to be vaccinated and the community. So far, just after a couple of hours, we have done 100. That is an excellent yield this morning.
President of TrinBago, Beverly Ramsey Moore, and her executive were on site to offer their support.
We're not going to stay here. We are going to move on into other regions because we are in the East, and I want to commend the chairman and the executive members of the Eastern region for mobilizing over 100 persons to come out here today. And so we are extremely happy about that. We will move to South Central region. We will also go to the Northern region and Tobago.
The General Counsel and Director of External Affairs for Caribbean, Sean Griffith, was also at the Panyard giving support to the vaccination drive.
Certainly that's the ambition. Like everyone else, we want to have 100% vaccination. We are upwards of 63% and continue to get vaccinated every single day. Our employers, our contractors, we encourage all of them to be vaccinated and create opportunities for them to be vaccinated as well.
The Sinopharm, Pfizer, along with the Johnson & Johnson one-shot, were all available at the Panyard on Sunday. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell, TTT News.
I'm going to stay with you.
In St. Lucia, President of the Craft and Dry Goods Vendors Association, Peter Isaac, is calling on government for more stringent measures for persons who flout COVID-19 protocols. More details in this report.
A number of groups and individuals are appealing to the authorities to crack down hard on COVID-19 violators. Police Commissioner Milton Daisy stated that officers had been using their discretion when encountering persons who breached the protocols. Officers mostly issued warnings during the first Sunday 24-hour curfew. However, Daisy warned that the police will be taking persons into custody the next time around. President of the Vendors Association, Peter Isaac, says some of the measures may be too lenient.
These measures, we think they are There are measures that are necessary because if you notice, if you leave people on their own to just do the right thing, you just probably spinning top in mud. So I think sometimes we need to take the hard decisions. And in my opinion, I think some of them should be even a little bit more stringent because I think the numbers are really climbing. And the numbers are telling us something. They're telling us that there must be something we are not doing or we are not doing right. So I think we need to take some probably more serious measures as to try to see how we could bring down the figures. And that's the reality of our situation.
Isaac says that while some of the merchants have been affected by the measures, they are in agreement with whatever is needed to bring the COVID-19 numbers down.
Vendors generally, I'm sure they would see if the government take any more serious measures. It is just because that people are not following the protocol as they should. And as a result of that, we have the spike in terms of the numbers. As you notice, the government has asked for bars to be shut down and certain areas is grab and go and so on. It's because people were given the opportunity to do the right thing and they refuse to just do the right thing. So they really want to measures put in place to really curtail, what things that they want to do, activities they want to go and to flaunt the regulations and the rules. Therefore, I don't think any option outside of that you can take. It's just these are the right measures and probably even more stringent measures.
The NYC has also called on the government to rethink its COVID-19 management strategy. The government plans to issue tickets and fines to persons who breach COVID-19 protocols. Gina Filippi, HTS News Force.
In sports, we're trackside with athletics. Sunday's ISTAF Berlin track meet in Germany saw 4 Jamaicans making the podium. Tokyo Olympics bronze medalist Ronald Levy clocked 13.11 seconds. American Devon Allen won in 13.10 seconds. Jaheel Hyde secured bronze in the men's 400 meters hurdles in 48.95 seconds. Natasha Morrison stopped the clock at 11.09 seconds to take the silver in the women's 100 meters, with countrywoman Brianna Williams third in 11.16 seconds. Nigel Ellis managed a 4th place finish in the men's 100 meters in 10.23 seconds. Shade Lawrence was 5th in the women's discus with a throw of 50.49 meters. The local football fraternity is still coming to grips with the death of former footballer and national senior women's football team manager Jean Nelson. She passed on Saturday after a short period of illness. The former Jamaica Women's Football Association president, Nelson, was one of the founders of the National Women's League in the 1990s. She wore the hat of team manager for the Reggae Girls throughout their FIFA Women's World Cup campaign, which led to the team's debut at the finals in France in 2019. And that's our package. You've just watched the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.